Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joey. You're at Joey's Table, and we're making chicken tamale casserole. So the things you need, the ingredients is chicken breast, chicken thighs, enchilada sauce, corn tortillas. You need mozzarella cheese and medium cheddar. So what I'm gonna first do is I'm gonna chop up the chicken breast, and I'm gonna chop up the chicken thighs. So with the breast, I'm going to first butterfly it in half. And I'm going to cut them, as you guys can see, I'm going to cut them in thirds. And then I'm going to cut these ones the same way in thirds. I'm going to move this over here so you guys can see. I'm going to chop this up. I'm going to add the chicken back to the original package here. We're going to chop up the chicken breast. We're going to slice it down the middle in thirds. We're going to move it across. And we want to chop it up into chunks. I'm not going to use the last chicken breast, and just in case I do need it, but I might not. And the reason I use chicken breast is because I like to have a mixture of, you know, that dark meat and that light meat. So I'm going to use chicken thighs. I'm going to use all the, I like dark meat more than white meat, but I'm going to put a little bit of white meat in there, and I'm going to have more dark meat than white. So we're going to chop up the same process, but we're going to do it the chicken thighs. I'm going to leave the skin on there. That skin gives it that little flavor. You can actually just kind of cut it off and throw it to the side. I'm going to cook it inside the pan as we get started. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It definitely helps my channel out, so I'm able to do more videos on my channel. So I'm chopping up and using all the chicken thigh because there's not much here. So once you get all this cut, the first thing you're going to do is we're going to turn it on high heat. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil. Okay, and we're going to let it heat up a little bit. Once it starts to heat up a little bit, we're going to add all the chicken thighs and all the chicken breasts without kind of touching that chicken. We're going to rewash our hands because we're now moving on to the next process, which is you're going to need yourself a bowl, and you're going to need your enchilada sauce. You're going to take your enchilada sauce, you're going to pour a little bit on the bottom. I'm going to pour all the enchilada sauce in the bowl. The reason why is I'm going to take my corn tortillas, I'm going to drop them in the bowl. Not like that, which you make a mess. Accident happens. And then you're going to take and set them in there. You need about 1 full package of corn tortillas for this recipe. You're going to then, coat them, and you're going to lay them in the bottom. The reason I put sauce on the bottom is so it doesn't stick really bad to the bottom of the pan after it's done cooking. You're going to want to add all your tortillas, which is you want to add about 6 tortillas to the bottom of the pan. I'm going to wash my hands real quick because now the stove top is finally starting to cook that chicken off. So while that chicken's cooking, you're going to want to saute it a little bit so it can level in the pan. You want to add your salt. The seasonings, I've always learned to kind of eyeball it until after you're done cooking. Then you can taste it, but add a little bit more of this. That's the part of being a chef, I guess. You're going to add some thyme, just sprinkling in here on this layer, and a little bit of onion powder. So I'm using onion powder, thyme leaves, and I'm using bay leaves. So, and then pepper and salt. And let this cook. here. While this is cooking, I'm gonna get my cheese ready. So I'm gonna dump, my mozzarella cheese in a bowl, and I want to have it pre-mixed. I want the cheddar pre-mixed with the mozzarella. You kind of want almost like a blend together. So while that's getting going, I'm going to wash my hands again, and I'm going to get the oven started. So we're going to turn the oven on to, if you have bake, you do bake. I'm going to do convection, and we're going to do 350. And I'm going to let it preheat. So while it's preheating, I got the chicken in here. Cook off. So we're going to wait for this to cook. Once it's cooked, we're going to add it to the casserole. So since I was cleaning up for a little bit while it's cooking, I'm going to check it real quick and stir it all around. And now you can kind of start to smell that chicken starting to cook off. I'm going to add, I think it needs a little bit more onion powder. I know it's going to need garlic, but I want to add garlic salt. I like using garlic salt just because it has that garlic and salt together ratio. So I'm going to add a little bit more garlic salt to it. So yeah, I added some garlic salt. I'm going to add a little bit more time, and I think that should be good enough for it. I'm going to toss it really good. Okay. We turn down to about medium heat for a little bit. Let it cook off. I'm going to put the casserole here. The oven's still starting. We got the cheese mixture. We got the sauce. I got the tortillas in there. They're in there marinating for a couple seconds. Add a couple more to your tortillas. I'm going to use a sheet pan. The reason I use a sheet pan, so just in case the cheese comes over the top, it doesn't get all in your oven. This is cooking. They don't want it to stick, so I'm going to turn it back up to high heat. I'm going to let this cook for about 5, maybe 10 minutes. We are going to toss it. We want to make sure the chicken's all cooked all the way through. So we want to make sure that it stays here cooking. We're going to get a bowl with the strainer. I usually use a strainer that's a little bigger than the bowl, so it all drops in there and drains in the bottom. I'm going to add a little bit more salt and a little bit more pepper. I'm going to add this to the bowl. Turn the stove top off. Now we have our chicken. We have our cheese. So I'm going to put the chicken here. We have our cheese here. And we have our casserole. So as you can see, we don't got much room here to work with, but we're going to give it a shot. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our chicken. So we have the strainer here for a reason. So we're just going to take the strainer. We're going to put our chicken in there. And you want to have a nice little even coat. Okay? And all this cheese, we're going to add all this cheese. We're going to go cheese. We're going to layer it. So it's like layering it. So we're going to layer it all out. And then we're going to do tortillas again. We're going to add our tortillas. So sitting here marinating. We're going to add another one and another one. And This recipe right here only calls for about 6 to 12 tortillas depending on the size of your pan. I'm going to then put the chicken in here. This is the top layer. So that bottom layer already has the chicken, or that middle layer. So now I'm gonna have this top layer. Should do a little bit more chicken, but it's fine, it will work. And we're just gonna cheese the top of this thing. And we're gonna use all this cheese here, even those 2 bags over there, but I gotta rinse my hands off. So we have all this cheese here. Make a little mess, but that's why it's cheesy enchilada casserole. So I'm going to add more cheese into the bowl. Move the chicken out of the way. Add more cheese to this bowl. Mozzarella and cheddar. And we are going to add all the cheese to the top of this. Looks like I got more cheddar than cheese. I mean, I have more cheddar than mozzarella. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bag. And I kind of want to have the same mixture. I'm going to go around and just top off the top. And the cool thing I like to do with this dish is, if I'm going to make another one, and if you guys please like, comment, subscribe. The next one will be beef enchiladas. So that with my chicken enchiladas, I kind of take a little bit of the sauce and I pour it down the middle of it, just so it sets the difference apart. With it being a chicken. The beef one, stay tuned for another video and I'll show you what I do to that one. So I went and grabbed the aluminum foil real fast. And set the aluminum foil on it. Wrap around all the corners. And I'm gonna put this in the oven at 350 for 25 to 30 minutes. I'm gonna check it in about 10 minutes, turn it 10 minutes, and in about 5 minutes it should be done after that. So 25 minutes, so 10 minutes turn, 10 minutes turn, 5 minutes finish, you should be set. So now since it's done, this is the chicken enchilada. So we're gonna plate it, and we're gonna get this thrown down, but as you can tell, you can just scoop your plate out and just drop it on the plate. And here's the chicken enchilada. Take a nice bite. Delicious. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.